Right, so we're trying to find a way to wrap up this sugar debate, proving difficult though. So let me take you to a cartoon in the Daily Nation, which tries to capture the state of the nation in terms of matter sugar. All right, so there we go. My goodness. So you have a sort of is that a big trader giving sugar to a suffering Kenyan? And you can see the money trail of sugar behind them, if I can say the sweet trail of sugar. And you can see all the players involved. Some look like law enforcers, others look like politicians. And it just shows that by the time this sugar gets to the final consumer, the number of hands through which money has passed through, and then the sugar has a sign of death, indicating that even as people pocket millions and billions, ultimately what is fed to the common mwananchi is a product that could be detrimental to their health. My goodness. Okay, we'll be showing you the one in the Standard shortly. Or do we do that now? Okay, let's put that up. All right, so there is this looks quite something else. So a picture of a figure, I guess looking like some sort of a devil of sorts. And the headline is, I think that was in the Star yesterday, "I'm investing in heaven, Deputy President Ruto." And the devil claims to be saying that, careful with that talk. I've invested a lot in you. My. Okay, this is obviously, this I don't know what to say there. So I'm just
I think, let me just say this. This just goes to prove what Honorable Wahome was saying, that when people get compromised, for example, what Honorable Wandai was saying yesterday in Parliament,
cartels.
That there are cartels, and some of them are actually looking at me, and they're sitting in Parliament. So when you get compromised, when you start doing deals or eating proceeds from those deals, from the dealers and the traders and the cartels, then despite the fact that you're a member of Parliament who should actually be protecting Kenyans, you are sort of made compromised into a position where you now can't talk. You know, when you're doing business with the devil will come and remind you that dare you say anything, and you are part of it, you know. So then you find a lot of people being compromised, despite the fact that they're in a position where they should speak out and come up with policies that can protect Kenyans. But now they are called into thinking that if I talk, I'll be mentioned, or if I talk, I'll stop getting the benefits that I've been enjoying.
There's a section of Kenyans that say that your party leader used to speak about these matters. He would call a press conference at Capitol Hill with a dossier, yes, and unveil it all. But he's been very quiet.
And I'm so happy about that. You know, I am happy. Because when he was speaking, everybody thought that, this man always speaks, this man wants to antagonize everybody. But now that he's taken a step back, people are actually seeing the value of Raila coming up to talk.
How long is he going to stay back?
No, don't worry. As long as it will take Kenyans to actually see that they need Raila to be pointing out these corrupt deals. Because we got to a point where people began thinking that Raila is just a noisemaker. And he was not a noisemaker. Every time he came up to speak, he spoke with evidence, knowing exactly what he was talking about. But now that he's taken a back seat, Kenyans are actually seeing the value of Raila, which is great.
Honorable Home, come in.
I think if the Honorable, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is the leader of the minority, if he doesn't do his work, his part, as the minority leader, and he's the leader of the minority, I think he will have failed. And he would have either to resign so that he can give that job to somebody else, irrespective of the handshake. I think the handshake was bigger than, it was, I don't know, it doesn't mean that the opposition stops doing its work, because the constitution is very clear. And I came here again and I said that the office of the minority must be strengthened to be able to be the minority party that or group that will check the government in its work. And really no government succeeds well without the opposition. Call it the opposition, because that's a major role. So when she says that he will just now speak until Kenyans, I think the fact that he's in conversation and discussions and supporting the big four, you cannot be supporting the big four if you allow these kind of things
to carry on.
To be carried on. Then secondly, that cartoon, I think the cartoonist is not fair to His Excellency the Deputy President. The moral judgment belongs elsewhere. I think the moral judgment belongs elsewhere. If I say I'm investing in heaven, I think you cannot be the one judging me. I think to then bring that other element that I have seen, because there are two figures there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is out of order. I suppose that one is allowed to judge their own moral or status, their conversation with their God, and you remember during the prayer breakfast, His Excellency the Deputy President said he could be the one wronged most. I think there is a strategy to demonize.
You see that?
I think there is a strategy. I don't know where the strategy is coming from.
You've answered my next question. I'm going to ask you where is it coming from.
And I think we cannot succeed in then uniting the country, because you cannot overlook the fact that this is a Jubilee matter. In terms of Jubilee and working with the minority, the Deputy President is right in the middle. So when people start drawing this kind of cartoons, every time he speaks, people want to heap all this. This cannot be this thing. The government is not one person.
Waiga, can I say that Raila's silence is tactical? Tactical in the sense that he's been talking about corruption and unearthing all the corrupt deals, and every time he does that, just like I said at the beginning, anytime a corrupt deal is brought out, people tend to go into the cocoons of tribes or political parties. So every time Raila or Right Honorable Raila has been talking about or unearthing corrupt deals, you'll find that Jubilee will go together, and then it becomes a Jubilee versus NASA war. In effect, the fight about corruption being lost. So when now Right Honorable Raila, because steps back, you can see what was happening in Parliament yesterday. Now we are beginning to unearth things that would not have been unearthed. We are beginning to see Duale the leader of majority. And don't tell me Honorable Duale was yesterday just an MP for Garissa. Because when does he become an MP of Garissa and remove the clothes of leader of majority? And when does he then become leader of majority and cease to be an MP of Garissa? So when Duale speaks as MP of Garissa, who is also leader of majority, and you cannot take that away from him. So now you can see what was happening because of Raila's tactical retreat. Now truth begins to come out. Honorable Duale can actually get up and begin to name names. And the other side of Jubilee also want to name names. And guess who is the beneficiary of that? Kenyans. Because the truth will now come out. But had it been Honorable Raila talking, Jubilee would have kept mum with all these deals they are doing. They would have kept quiet and would never have known the truth. But now the tactical silence from Raila is allowing us to get the truth, which let's see what
Kenyans are saying. And a couple of you are writing in on 22422. Let me see here. You don't give us... Okay, so some anonymous. One person says, Citizen TV, the sugar crisis is not normal. This is a chemical attack on Kenyans, okay? Another person says, contaminated sugar. Let us be sincere. How did the CS on seizing the sugar know that it was contaminated with these elements, yet it's now the same as under analysis? Seems like these guys had prior knowledge of know-how. They understand the cartels have been sitting on the truth, but I think I also saw a quote that the government chemist had looked at the sugar. Of course, hopefully we'll get to know more today. Somebody says, good morning. This sugar matter is, in my opinion, a straightforward issue that we are being led to believe is complicated. At the point of entry, KEBS should have been there to stop it coming in. Kenyans are tired of being made fools. The involved forces should follow the trail and arrest those responsible and charge them with mass murder. Somebody again here, and all of you seem to be anonymous. Nobody wants to give me your name, but you say...
These Kenyans now are scared also.
No, I think people need to speak up. Somebody says, this whole noise making by the big guns is all part of a decoy to distract honest Kenyans from reality. Why the sudden cry of a corruption? Then bang, evidence, yet no real culprits, no action. Come on, this whole thing stinks. Okay, let me pick two more. Somebody says, thank you, Citizen TV, for this powerful debate. I'm writing this on behalf of onion and garlic farmers. Our government is killing us by allowing some few rich traders to import garlic in bulk from China and other East African countries. We have invested heavily in this farming, but we have no market for our produce. Please help. And this one gives us the name Laban Mwaneki from Nyeri County. And one last one. This is revolutionary here. Karia Mburi from Meru County says, a revolution is the answer for Kenyans. We have had enough of talk shows. Let the lowly, the endangered, the poor get sensitized to to take over the war against corruption. This is an economy of the rich.
Yes.
This is dangerous times we live in.
You see, even if you go, if you even look at the Nation, the headline itself, it still has another big scandal. I was hoping you'll also move us to that.
No, you take us there.
You see, the big fish trapped. You are talking about EACC, you know, the case of the pipeline. We are talking about the case of the Ruaraka. All these things now, the truth needs now to be brought out. We have, and I said we have investigative arms of government, and when we go on like this, I think some of them will have to be killed by Parliament. Because...
What do you mean by killed?
I mean, they will be stopped. You cannot not have institutions that are not producing.
Okay.
They're not productive to Kenyans. You see, Kenyans are getting to the level they could be disbanded. Because as we move on, we are expecting answers from the judiciary with all these matters that are going to court. We are expecting answers from the DPP, EACC. So, you know, the EACC has now to start working and work very hard. I mean, they need to ban their midnight oil.
Where have they been all this time?
Let's just say maybe things were very difficult before. Now we are saying, the DPP is saying, I'm ready to work with you. I don't know, you know, something is not working.
Well, I feel really sad about what Mwaniki says about
his garlic.
His garlic and onion business.
I really, really feel sad about that, because look at what has also happened to the fish industry. The fish industry has also been brought to its knees. And fish is being imported from China. And the fish that's coming from China is costing 40 shillings for one.
So do we import everything that we can locally produce?
You know this China, you know, honestly, something has to give. And whoever is talking about a revolution, I think we are actually headed there. And I'm sorry to say that. A revolution does not just come out of nothing. A revolution comes out of desperation, of people feeling like they've been pushed against a wall. And if your livelihood depends on fish, for example, and that has also been brought to its knees, and now fish is coming from China, why is it that we find such ready markets for all these other countries to bring their products here, products that are otherwise found in the country? You know, why is it that we cannot cushion and we cannot
protect local traders and,
you know?
I think the members of parliament, the members of parliament, you know, have started now becoming the ones who are lamenting. Even last week, if you saw the debate in parliament, it's like members of parliament were becoming now helpless. Are we now going to disband parliament, or what are we going to do?
It's interesting you've raised that point.
Yes, you see, the members, you can see the frustration that my sister is expressing. If that frustration is going to clip into parliament, then I think Kenyans will have gotten a very raw deal. So I believe that, and that's why I said, the government is put to task and held accountable by Parliament. And Parliament has two sides, the minority and the majority. The majority is the government, is the executive. They have been, you know, of course, they work with the executive, although their role is not to facilitate the executive to do the wrong things, is to facilitate executive proposals of registration. And when things are not properly done, then of course the government should be held accountable on the floor, in the committees of Parliament. So when my sister says now we don't know, I think maybe...
You do want to cross over to help the minority? You sound like you want to...
No. If you cross over, actually, you looking at our laws. Yeah, it means you... I don't need to close over. No member of Parliament needs to close over to do their work. Because you see, oversight. We are confusing oversight as MPs. I've said before, of course, sometimes I have run into trouble, even with my own party, for pointing the right things. But I think right now, I can tell you the way I'm seeing this thing, His Excellency the President, we may have to move very swiftly. And when he moves, I think there will be major casualties. In my view, I think there will be major casualties. Because you see, he has expressed also frustrations before. Because he wants to follow the law. At times when he acts, he's taken to court. And then the court gives some orders against the government. Prior to the 2010 constitution, no court would give an injunction against the government. Injunctions were not allowed because sometimes the impact of injunctions can be extremely devastating to an executive activity or action. But now, injunctions, right, left, center also. So what I'm saying, I think we need to look also at the law and see whether we can facilitate some executive authority to assist. These things sometimes, also, some of these things need extra measures, not just the normal routine
way of
paperwork or way of handling. This thing needs, like, one morning the president to just go haywire and start working and saying, now I am here, this, and Kenyans will support him. We have to follow the law, yes, but I'm saying there are things that we might have to facilitate. Sometimes the executive requires executive authority and power to avoid all these routes. That
bottlenecks.
These bottlenecks are too many. Kenyans may have also tied themselves too much with the constitution. You know, for the opposition, Raila read the constitution. For the others, they said yes. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think the whole issue here is not really, the whole issue is just not that opposition MPs of the minority side are lamenting. The issue also is the majority side. Do they debate and do they pass laws because they believe those laws are okay? Or do they do it because they've been whipped by the executive and whatever that law is, they just must pass it because they belong to the Jubilee side? The onus is on every MP, not just the minority side, because it is true that the minority side does not have the numbers. We can scream, we can shout, but at the end, the majority will have their way. So the onus is on individual MPs, that when you debate and when you pass laws, don't pass those laws because you are on the Jubilee side. Pass laws and debate laws that will actually benefit Kenyans. So to say that the minority side might not be playing their role, that is not right. The minority side screams, and that is where the desperation comes in, that you might scream, you might do what, but everything is put to the vote. And when it's put to the vote, you don't have the numbers. But if we are in a situation where each member of parliament actually debates and passes laws based on their conscience and based on what is right for Kenyans, then we would not be in this situation. But we are always clipped into that cocoon where you pass laws just because your executive of your party has said pass those laws. So whether they are good for Kenyans or not, you will pass it and have your way because you are the majority. And that is why the desperation comes in. I told you at the beginning, I've tried to get into this parliament for 12 years. Eventually, I found my way into that parliament. But the frustration is, so
what?
What positive impact am I able to make to the people of Kenyans? I'm in the minority, I might scream, and where does it get me?